Well, hello and welcome to this very special episode of On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. As today we celebrate 3 years of our program, and we're so excited about what we've accomplished, including being honored recently with the Gold Magellan Award for On Deck with Avoya. But you know what? We're even more excited about the future of our program. On Deck with Avoya strives to be a resource for those vested in a future in this amazing travel industry. And as you can see by my setting and guest standing right next to me, we're not in our normal home studio, but instead fortunate enough to be at the Avoya Travel Innovation Center and lucky enough to be joined by an amazing guest today. Phil Cappelli, Chief Sales Officer for Avoya Travel, has been kind enough to join us as this week's three-year anniversary guest. Phil's a longtime travel professional, one of the most respected people in our industry, and an amazing new asset for Avoya Travel. So we're thrilled to have him as our guest today. So please help me welcome Phil Cappelli, Chief Sales Officer for Avoya Travel. Phil, so great to have you as our featured guest this week.
Well, thanks for having me, Chris. I'm excited to be here with all of you guys. This is amazing. 3 years of this. I'm really great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Phil, before we get too far into our interview, can you maybe give us a little bit about your backstory and how you ended up in the travel industry and specifically with Avoya Travel?
Sure. And it was so great to see so many of you at conference and be able to share the story and what we want to do. But a little bit about me, I started at Talc, I guess it was 1996, in reservations, as a reservation supervisor and a coach. So I really enjoyed spending time, learning about the customer journey, booking tours, booking vacations. I really learned so much. It's helped me in my career as an executive over the years to understand, what was happening at the front line. So many years at Talc. I think I was there 13 years. Ended up running sales before I left for Insight Vacations. And that's where I met a lot of you over the years and became, friendly with the Avoya organization, with the Andersons. Was at Insight. I ran national accounts for a while there and then was the president for 5 years. Had a great rapport with Avoya. You guys were one of my biggest accounts at Insight, so really enjoyed the family there. I was at the 50th anniversary party for the family, so that was so great to see so many of you. So I've always had a deep respect for the Avoya team and the group. And then after Insight, I took a little time off with my family. Some of you have heard me talk about my family. I've got 3 pretty much grown children now, 25, 22, and 19, and spent a couple months with them. And then after Insight, joined Signature Travel Network. Many of you may know Signature is a consortium in the space. Great people there, great opportunity. I ran partnerships and supplier relations for them for about 5 years before I started talking to the Avoya team about coming here. So my background is pretty vast in travel in that, I understand the customer journey all the way to the sales and the executive experience. So yeah, I feel like I'm prepared well to work with all of you at Avoya.
We couldn't agree more, Phil. I think all of us that are in the travel industry do so partially because that travel bug is set in at some point in their life. For you, when did that travel bug really kind of bite you? Was it something that you grew up with as a passion for travel, or when did that start?
It's interesting. My family actually didn't travel a lot. My mom and dad both came from Italy. And so I always had that background as being an Italian. I was first generation American, and traveling to Italy when I was 10 really got the bug started for me. And I really enjoyed that trip and just being in Italy and just the different feeling, even as a 10-year-old, of being in a different country really stuck with me. Over the years, I traveled a little bit with my parents, but the bug really hit me when I joined. The bug was always there, I guess, even when I was young. But when I started working for Talc and I was able to experience different places like the Canadian Rockies, hella hiking, Europe, Antarctica, all the different places I've been blessed enough to go to.
So tell us a little bit about what your thoughts are on being the first ever Chief Sales Officer for Avoya Travel. First off, you must feel what an honor that they would have this title and have you be that person. But just give us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Chris. It is an honor to be here. There's no question about it. I've always had so much deep respect for the group. And when you look at Chief Sales Officer, it's really, at the end of the day, to make sure that we're providing you, the network, with the best partnership deals, commission programs, marketing support, so that you can sell as much as you can to your customers. And then ultimately it's the supplier side working with them on the contracts, making sure we're getting the best programs available for all of you. So it's marrying the sales side of our organization with Steve and his great team, and then with Ashley and her team, and coming up with the best programs for supporting the network.
Before joining Avoya Travel and having been in the industry for so long, what was your impressions about Avoya Travel before you actually joined the organization? I know you mentioned a little bit about being at the 50th anniversary and a deep respect for Avoya, but maybe you could elaborate on that just a little bit.
Yeah, it's not probably going to come as a surprise to all of you, but a lot of it had to do with the technology and the background in leads. And, I had a preferred agreement with Avoya, so I understood what was going on at the technical and marketing aspect of it. So I always had a deep respect for that. I think, and I know actually, because I've been in this industry a while, that we are different from any other travel organization that's out there. What we have for tools, for support, for technology is just it's at a higher level than any other organization or consortia I've seen. I've honestly been blown away with what I've seen as far as just reporting, technology, and the way we do things here that I think it's, like we say, going back, it's an honor to come in at this chief sales role to work with all the great people here.
Well, I think we're just as honored to have you join the organization when we're excited about what the future is going to bring. When you take a look as a long-term travel professional at just our industry as a whole, kind of give me your thoughts on the current state of the industry as here we are, middle of Q4 2023.
Yeah.
Coming out of everything that we've come out of the last several years with all of the COVID crisis, and then everybody just with this rush to travel. But what are your thoughts about where we stand as an industry, maybe what some of the bright spots are, and maybe just talk about what you think some of the challenges moving forward should be?
Sure. That's a great question. I think, and the media is calling it, if you're seeing it anywhere, revenge travel, coming off of COVID, which was such a difficult time, for all of you, for myself. It was the first time in my 25 years of working that I was actually home for a while, and I get the itch. I like to travel. So being home was tough enough for me, but I think the industry has bounced back remarkably well. I mean, if you look at where the cruise industry is, even land. I mean, land came back earlier, right? Because cruise was still working through some of their systems and health stuff. But I think when you look at where we are with the whether it's Royal Caribbean, all the great partners, the numbers are at high water marks. So it's a good time to be in this business. It's as far as challenges, the only challenge you see is, and you're starting to see more and more people talk about, when does revenge travel stop? And when do people get more into a mix of a regular wave season and all that? So we're aware of that. We're looking at it. But when you look at the reports, and I look at them every morning now, I'm addicted to looking at all the numbers coming in. We're still, we're holding really strong in this industry. So I think the continued fascination with, cruising, land, everything that we're doing is going to continue. There's no reason to see the 24 numbers, Chris, are remarkable. So what you guys are doing out there in pre-bookings, and even 25 for some of your luxury clients that are booking world cruises, are amazing. So I think we've got a nice runway here headed into 24. The challenges would be just what happens with the overall economy. I look at interest rates, people start to look at that stuff. How does it impact their travel budgets? What I'm still banking on, though, is that people want to travel. They were stuck at home for 2 to 3 years. They're not buying cars at the same level. Car shopping's way down. Even homes are down. But we haven't seen that decline in travel. And I think a lot of that has to do with people just wanting to travel, having been at home, and then experiences. I am a key, one of the things that I live my life is spend money on experiences versus things. And I think we've seen that in the United States here for a few years. And I think that continues for a while here. So the only challenge really is, how does the economy impact, the overall sales cycle?
If you were somebody that was new to the travel industry or just thinking of getting involved in the travel industry, is the fact that there are so many ships on order, there's so many plans and architectural investments being made for new all-inclusive resorts. You look at the tour operators like your former people at Talc, and as they continue to add and expand their offerings, Is that something that somebody should look at and say, you know what, that really does kind of project a really future healthy side of our industry?
I think it does. And we talk to Clea a lot, and a lot of Clea, and we get the, number of ships that are going to be built in the future years. And you're just talking to folks, and it's amazing what's being built. I think this year, and I've seen many of you on Facebook on our Avoya thread there, just talking about some of the trips you've been on with Explorer or some of the christenings. And I think I'm going to 4 or 5 christenings this, in the next like 3 months.
Wow.
So all these ships are coming out, which is amazing. It gives us opportunity. I always joke with the cruise executives, keep building, because it's great for all of us. It's great for all of you. Keep building ships. And I think there is there's a focus obviously on the big stuff. Look at what Icon's going to do when that comes out. That ship is getting more PR and external noise than I've ever seen for a ship coming out. But what's interesting to me too is this focus on expedition.
Right.
Expedition cruising is, everybody's been talking about it. It's kind of been a slow buildup. I see it really taking off here in the next 3 to 6 months.
I think that's exciting because I think a lot of it's been centered around places like the Galapagos and of course the expansion into like Antarctica. But I think there's so many exciting little nooks and crannies of this amazing world that expedition travel is going to be a great fit for. So,
amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Phil Cappelli, Chief Sales Officer for Avoya Travel, is our exclusive 3rd anniversary guest for On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. Phil, given all your amazing experience in travel, do you think maybe you could offer some practical advice that maybe for somebody in the travel agent community on ways that you think they can help increase sales for their agency?
Yeah, that's a great question, Chris. And the one thing that I've always had is, whether it was in sales at TAC or in this role now, is the importance of follow-up. And it seems like such an easy thing, and I yell at my kids about it too, but like the importance of follow-up cannot be understated. Especially with us, the way we've got our structure with leads and people wanting answers. People are hungry to travel. We talked about that before. Just make sure you're following up at all levels and all you can do. I think that's probably my best thing that I can tell you. And it seems so simple, but I think all of us forget sometimes about the importance of people wanting to be connected with somebody that knows what they're doing. And then keep learning. Keep learning. We've got great programs here, obviously, with what you do, Chris, and what the teams do. Keep learning about new things you're interested in, whether it's the new expedition ships, new tour operators, destination specialists that we'll be bringing in more of. Just keep learning and following up. I think if I had to break it down, that's what I do. I think there's a lot more you'll hear from me about that over the years on sales or over the months here as we go forward. But if you continue to learn, and craft your brand as an advisor, that's the best thing you can do. And then follow up with reckless abandon.
I guess it kind of dovetails into my next question, which is, I guess, kind of a follow-up on that. But have you seen over your career that there are certain traits that great agents seem to have on a consistent basis that you would say, if you want to be a great agent, they should kind of try to emulate some of that?
Yeah. The most important is listening. Just listening to the customer need and then coming back with something that's going to work great for them. I think when I think about the great advisors and independent IAs that I've met over the years, they're great listeners. They follow up at a level and they're constantly and consistently learning. And so that you work with that person because they know so much more than you could ever know about a place. I use an advisor and I've traveled the world, and I use an advisor because I know she knows more about this business than I do and has been, and understands and is learning day to day. So I can't underestimate the importance of learning, listening, and following up.
One of the things I've always found, and it's funny, right? Because when you're involved in sales and it's a passion for yourself, sometimes you can get caught up in like all these fancy closing techniques that you might be able to employ. But sometimes I think the simplest technique is just to be a genuine person
100%.
with a genuine interest in what you're hearing coming down the line from your client.
Can't agree with you more on that, Chris. Honestly, it's just being genuine, being yourself. And I know you're all so busy, and that's challenging at times because you've got, so many different strains in your life and trying to get back. But the more you can be genuine, listen to people. And there are closing tips and there's different sales things that we obviously help them with. And there's programs that we can help you with. But genuine listening and following up, I think at the end of the day, that's going to get you more business than most.
So let's talk about you, Phil, the person, when
Sure.
you get a chance to be outside of the office. What kind of things do you like to do for fun? I know you said a little bit about your family. I'm
Yeah.
sure some of that involves them.
Yeah, absolutely. We're blessed with 3 children. One's in Denver, 2 are in Florida near us. And so we like to spend a lot of time together. We're fans of the New York Jets, which is a painful thing to be over the years. And we try and get to as many games as we can. We just visited my son in Denver and went to the Jets Broncos game. And so, that's always been a big part of our family travel is following the Jets, and we have fun with that. But outside of that, outside of my family, they're really important to me. You've seen that in things I've said or written to you guys, but family's so critical for me. But outside of that, for myself, I love to bike, whether it's a road bike or a mountain bike. I do a lot of that at home in Florida and also in Connecticut, and wherever I can, in the national parks. That's probably my most favorite place to go riding around. And then golf, if I've got some time on a Saturday or Sunday, I like to play golf. Got some great friends and people that I play with. So big part of my life too.
Are you a good golfer?
I'm decent. I'd say I'm decent. I'm not a scratch player, but I can play pretty well.
I figured you must be pretty good. You've got the little Ryder Cup
I do have
emblem
the
on
Ryder
the
Cup.
shirt right there. When we think about travel and what it means to people, you mentioned revenge travel a little bit earlier in our conversation. Why do you think there's been this fundamental shift over the last several years? I think when COVID first happened, people tried to buy happiness through Amazon, right?
Yeah.
They thought the UPS guy could deliver happiness to their door.
Yeah.
And then I think a lot of us came to realize that happiness, as you said, comes from experiences. Why do you think travel is just an important component in just the human experience?
Great way to say that, Chris. Honestly, I think I've always said that, being able to connect with somebody in a different country, like we know our country so well, we know our surroundings. We all most of us live within, a certain area, and we know everybody there. When you get outside, you go to India, you go to China, you go to Japan, and you interact with people, you're learning so much more than can ever be taught in a classroom. That's why with my children, I encourage them to travel, even more than school, because the importance of it. Obviously, you've got to go to school and do all that, but the importance of travel and cultural immersion and getting in and, going to get a sandwich in Korea, going to, and doing what the locals do. And that's a key thing too. I've always talked about Americans. Sometimes when we travel to different places, we want what we have here. And I always try and tell people, whether it's friends, family, whoever, go there and do what they do there. Get immersed in there. If whatever they're eating, eat that. Wherever they're going, see that. I think a lot of times as Americans, we want to take what we do here and bring it there. But let yourself be immersed by that culture and get into it that way.
Yeah, I think we come fuller and more evolved as individuals when we're able to incorporate other aspects of other cultures and ways of life into our personal experiences.
100%.
We got a couple more, Phil, before we wrap up
Sure.
our interview today. But one of the things I wanted to do is just give you an open forum. I thought maybe there were some things that you might want to discuss that we haven't covered yet today that would be important for those that are watching that are from within our network. And of course, part of our outreach with this show is to people that are considering Avoya Travel as a potential partner for them. Any thoughts that you have for them that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I just ultimately I've been impressed, getting to spend some time with all of you at our conference, at our showcase. I really enjoy that. So make sure I sent a note. I think it was last week. I heard from so many of you. If I haven't heard from you and you want to just send a few, thoughts. And right now I'm in the learning phase. I've been blessed to have a nice career and a lot of experiences, but I'm learning Avoya. And I want to make sure that I'm supporting you. I really look at all of you in the network as my customer. And that, and I want to make sure that we're supporting you at the highest levels possible, whether that's commissions, support, marketing, tech, everything that you need. I'm always interested in hearing what we could do better. And so that's my plea to all of you. Don't hesitate to reach out. You've got my email. It's phil.cappelli@Avoya Travel. I'm traveling a lot, got a lot going on, but I promise I'll get back to you. And it's so important for me to hear from you. And for somebody new considering Avoya, I feel so lucky. I feel like we're blessed in a way that because we're so different from everybody else. And you can look at a lot of different opportunities and different groups to join. But when you look at the opportunity to come here with award-winning technology, support, training, programs like this, they're just not out there, Chris. We have a different setup here. We spend a lot of money on that ancillary stuff to make sure that your experience as an IA is at the best possible level.
So when we started this program 3 years ago on Deck with Avoya, it was literally the same day we started putting this together that they announced that the no sale order for the cruise industry was about to become a conditional sale order. And we thought it was important to kind of be a cheerleader for the industry as one of the first reasons that we were going to do this program. So back then, I decided that I was going to ask the same last question to every guest moving forward for as long as it makes sense. And here we are 3 years into it, and I'm still asking the same question. And I know our whole interview kind of serves as an answer to this, but just point blank, I love to ask. Are you excited about the future of leisure travel, and why?
I 100% am excited, because just look at all the things we talked about here in this last few minutes. I mean, look at all the cruise ships that are coming out, the expedition, the different types of travel, the cultural immersion. I think we're in a sweet spot. I really do. I think there's great opportunity for all of you that are within Avoya now, and then for folks coming into this business. I feel like these next few years are really set up well for success. It's a great time to come into the space too, for all of you that are considering, joining as an advisor. I think, the runway is long, I'd say, as far as the products that are coming out, the different types of programs. So yeah, I'm super excited. I'm at an advanced age in my career. That's what somebody said that to me, but no, I'm just excited about the future, after having done this for 25 years, I would have thought maybe I would slow down, but I'm actually more hungry now and more excited about what we could do at Avoya for all of you and the opportunities that you have. So yeah, I'm pretty pumped up.
That's quite the exclamation mark to wrap up our interview. Phil Cappelli, everyone, Chief Sales Officer for Avoya Travel. Phil, thanks again for your time, and welcome to Avoya Travel and the Avoya Travel family. I'll tell you what, I'm certainly going to have you back as a guest in the future. But I'm either going to cut you off at the knees, or I'm going to get me one of those Pat Sajak boxes that he uses at Wheel of Fortune so I can get my height up to yours.
That's funny. It was a pleasure, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Hey, next week on Deck with Avoya, as we launch into year 4, we're going to be doing a special broadcast from the trade show floor of Cruise World in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We look forward to showcasing that important industry event next Thursday at our normal time, at all of our normal social media channels. And just as a quick reminder, AvoyaNetwork.com is an amazing resource to find out details on our latest promotions, the award-winning travel agent education powered by Avoya platform, and many details on affiliating with the #1 host agency in leisure travel, and that's Avoya Travel. Thanks again to my special guest, Phil Cappelli, for being with us today. Thanks to Annabella for doing a wonderful job in producing all of our weekly shows. And of course, a big thank you to you, the most important part of On Deck with Avoya. Thank you for a great 3 years, and thank you in advance for your time as we launch the next phase of On Deck with Avoya. Take care, everyone.